about people who call, if someone is researching a purchase that is complex, like insurance, or urgent, like home services, expensive, like a cruise, infrequent, like telecom or buying, an auto purchase, or, something personal like healthcare. A lot of times the most popular conversion, the most valuable conversion is a phone call. But as marketers, it's also very important to understand that not every call you generate from your paid search advertising is the right type of call that you want to spend money to drive. So I just picked a few industries here, but for insurance and financial services, for example, 78% of the calls that are driven from paid search are not sales leads. So the question is, are you wasting marketing budget driving the wrong types of calls? 52% of good calls to healthcare providers, ones that are based on their conversation show they have high intent and are quality phone leads, don't convert to patient appointments. So as a marketer, you have to ask yourself, is your call center or the locations where you're sending calls, do they know what to say? Are they saying the right things to convert those good calls that you're driving to them? And lastly, Justin touched on it, sometimes people are not answering the calls that you're driving to them. So I picked auto repair and service, but we see this across many industries. 20% of callers to auto repair and service either hang up because no one's answering the phone in time, or they get sent to voicemail. And that's a problem because most people that are sent to voicemail are lost leads. They're not going to call back. So are bad call experiences hurting your marketing ROI? At Dialogue Tech, these are some of the common search challenges that we hear in terms of the inbound calls that people are driving. The first is measuring ROI. So think of these are familiar challenges that you currently have. So this customer came to us because they needed to track consumers who called from each keyword through to a sale or an appointment, or if not to a failed conversion, so they can accurately measure their return on ad spend for that keyword. Another challenge we had was someone who's spending a lot to drive a low amount of leads, but are they turning into high value conversions? So are you pulling the plug on keywords that generate expensive leads, but also very profitable sales appointments? So probably something you don't want to do, but you need to have the data in order to see what's going on and make those decisions. Reasons for conversion issues. So if you are generating a large volume of calls to your locations or your call center that are not converting, is it because the leads are bad? Are you doing the wrong things and driving the wrong types of calls? Or is it a caller experience issue with your call center or your locations where they are the problem? You're doing everything right, but they're doing things that are bad in order to lose those conversions. And lastly, remarketing. Are you putting callers into the wrong audiences for remarketing? So are you targeting them with the wrong ads and not taking into account the phone call part of the customer journey and what happened there in order to make those decisions to do more intelligent remarketing? So let's look at some of the data that you should capture. If you're not capturing any data, certainly being able to know how many calls you're driving from each keyword is a great start. But an even better source of data would be to understand that if a call came from a certain keyword, what time of day and day of week it came in, and if it came from, say, a landing page or a call extension, and if it was a landing page, which one and on what type of device, mobile versus desktop. And then who was the caller from, where are they located, and what's their phone number? What is that identifier, that caller ID that you can use as a unique identifier for that person? And lastly, the best possible scenario is getting all of this data and then attaching insights from the conversation to determine if Emily was in fact a quality lead. Did she book an appointment? And if she did, was it for what kind of service was it? Was it an expensive service versus an inexpensive service, to really understand the value of that call conversion that you just drove from that keyword? So you must be thinking, how do I get this data? You're probably familiar, or many of you are, with call tracking and getting data on what drove the call, but now you can connect that data into the outcome and experience of the call to get real actionable, deep, first-party data on your caller. So think about this call experience. This isn't someone trying to buy a car. They engage with, say, your paid search ad and call one of your dealerships. And now all of a sudden, as a marketer, you start getting analytics on these moments in the call that show you insight into the quality and intent of the caller. So for example, the caller says, I'm interested in buying a new car. So bingo, that's a sales lead looking at a new vehicle versus, say, someone calling about parts or about service and scheduling maintenance, or they're not a good lead at all. So now you know this person's a good lead. They talk about wanting an SUV for their large family. All of a sudden now you know their product interest. They express positivity on the call that your sale is great right now. That's great. It's positive. It also shows that there's a price sensitivity that you can pull out of that call. They talk about needing to make a decision in the next 2 weeks. That's an urgent lead. So now all of a sudden you know that this is a great sales lead for this vehicle and that they are looking to take action relatively soon. And they go ahead and they book a test drive, a visit to your showroom, to your dealership. So now you know that actually resulted in a conversion. Think about all of those insights from the conversation that AI can pull out of those calls for you at scale and connect to all your other data and how you can take action on that. So this is sort of a picture of that data within the landscape of what you can do with your call data. So in step number 1, it shows sort of that call tracking attribution side where you're getting who the caller is, their phone number, where they're calling from, and what location or call center they called. And then the channel, ad, search keywords, web pages they saw, web pages they called from, any UTM data, parameter data you've got in your URLs, and then of course the GCLID. Having all of that data at the time of the call, connecting it to the outcome and experience of the call. Was the call answered? How long was the call lasted? And then like all of this information on the actual conversation that you can dive into and pull out at scale using AI insights into that. You can even do a lead score based on all of these inputs to determine that this was in fact a sales conversion, and the lead score is an 8 out of 10. You can pass that data then, all that data from 1 and 2 into the tools you're using to measure and optimize your digital advertising. In this instance, we're talking about paid search. So it's Google Ads, it's Google Analytics, it's Search Ads 360, or it's other tools like Adobe, Marin, Kensho, Acquisio, and then also your CRM like Salesforce and Microsoft, whatever CRM system you're using, getting all that data together so you can unlock and activate it to make smarter marketing decisions. You can measure the value down to the keyword of the calls that you're driving, and you can optimize based on the outcome of the call and the value of the call to drive more of the right calls and conversions and accelerate your revenue growth for a lower cost per lead.